Good morning and welcome to the Unitarian Church of Lincoln on this Sunday morning, June 2nd, 2024. Our welcome script has gone missing, so welcome. We're glad that you're here in this place where we all bring our gifts and share together week after week, year after year, Sunday after Sunday. This Sunday, we are also welcoming our newest congregational members, as well as holding a congregational meeting immediately following the service. So please settle in. We're going to be here doing the whole of the democratic process that is Unitarian Universalism. We do that in service of the mission and vision of this church, the vision that says that we are a loving community uniting reason with spiritual exploration to transform ourselves and the world. We do that every single week, and it is a joy to do it together. We'll now begin by lighting our chalice with our worship associate this morning, Mary Kay Stillwell.
Good morning. The end is the beginning, excuse me, is our chalice lighting this morning. It was written by Katie Savani Gelfand, who is the Director of Religious Exploration at the First Unitarian Universalist Church of New Orleans. We call forth the life of our faith by igniting our chalice. This spark of new beginnings invites us into a sacred place to reflect where we have been and where we are going. Even knowing that this particular flame will intentionally end with our ritual extinguishing, we fear not its end. For we know with brave hearts that from every ending of our lives, we are sent forth to make a new beginning.
I do want to say just a few words about our opening hymn because we don't actually sing this one very often. Rank by Rank, again, we stand, as I learned it, was a hymn for new members, for installations, and for big services. However, about 5 or 10 years ago, it started to become more apparent that the lyrics, which were at that point unchanged for about a century, were a little out of date with our contemporary Unitarian Universalist values. So, recently, we have updated the lyrics to Rank by Rank and added an extra verse. So, the lyrics will be up here. Please do not open your hymnals, because you will then be singing the third verse, which is now the fourth verse, which has different lyrics anyway. If you must open the hymnals to look at the melody line, just know that the words in there are going to be different than the ones up here. All right? Would you please rise in body or in spirit and join in singing hymn number 358, Rank by Rank. So we have a new member welcome today. And I'm just realizing that our board president is back with the kids. I'll be the board president this morning. There we go. There's one piece of it. So my name is Oscar Sinclair. I serve as an ex officio member of the Board of Trustees of the Unitarian Church. Today we have the privilege and honor to welcome new members who have freely chosen to join the Unitarian Church of Lincoln in the last 3 months or so. Membership is a hallmark of our tradition. The gathered membership of a church is the highest authority in Unitarian Universalism. So members and friends of the Unitarian Church of Lincoln, this would be the minister's part. Today we welcome new members into this congregation. This is a non-creedal church. There is no doctrinal test for membership. We honor different spiritual paths, knowing that all are called to search for truth and meaning. So if you are one of our new members who has joined in the last 2 or 3 months and has not done this before, would you please come forward?
My name is Kay Hoff, and I am the chair of the membership committee. And since our charter members joined together in 1898, membership in the Unitarian Church of Lincoln has been marked by signing these 2 books, the membership books, and we welcome the following friends who will sign the book or have done so to become members. We are recognizing several people who cannot be with us this morning. Jeremy Holland, Megan Schmelker, Clarissa Benzu and Marianne Benzu are here, and Connor Anderson. So we welcome you.
So now there is a series of questions that we ask new members and the congregation. So first, to our newest members, you have come before us to join yourselves to this church. What is it that you wish to receive?
We come from different backgrounds. We have walked other religious pathways. We come to be assured that we are among supportive friends, that our voices will be heard in reading and singing, and in discussion and decisions. We come to share our talents and our gifts. We are here to join in community with all of you.
So have we, members and friends of this congregation, prepared a place in this house and in our hearts to receive these people into community with us?
We have. Yes.
Do we have a slide with the next words?
I think we can guess.
No, okay, we don't. If so, affirm by saying we have. We have. Here we go.
You are welcome here. We will now present you with a flower and a plant, symbols of the new beginnings in this place.
So, So I now charge you, as new members of the Unitarian Church of Lincoln, to share with us your creative thoughts, your vital experiences, your questions, your doubts, your discoveries, and the principles that matter most to you. Are these people gathered before us welcomed into our community? If so, say they are with great rejoicing.
They are with great rejoicing.
Welcome. We say often in this place that the goal is humanity, not perfection. So we will continue that theme today. We have a piece of music from the Unitarian Universalist Association.
I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Love is gentle, love is kind. Love is the only answer in hard times. Hate solves nothing and brings us down. Love is the only thing that turns it round. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. Dream of love, dream with your heart. When setting out in life, make love your start. When times are hard, love finds a way. Even when the word is hard to say. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear.
Good morning again. I'm still Mary Kay Stillwell. Good job! I'm changing hats. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees, and so it's my opportunity to bring you the announcements for the day, for the week, actually. First, I want to extend a special welcome to all the folks who are joining us for the first time, here in person or online. You're always welcome here. Okay. Announcements today. Today after service, please feel free to grab a cup of coffee and return to the sanctuary to see more end-of-the-year photos prior to the spring congregational meeting. Members will vote for 3 board members and 10 share the plate recipients. Remember, all voting is done online unless you want to fill out a paper ballot today after the spring meeting ends. And if you do, please check with the office. We need more folks to sign up to help us represent our church during the Star City Parade. We plan to have a booth both days and walk in the parade. There's a sign-up sheet on the windows looking out on the north patio, so sign up if you can. The June Beacon, our monthly newsletter, came out last week. Check your email inbox or pick one up at the welcome table. Joys and sorrows. A central part of our services is the time we join together as a community to mark the moments of our lives. We share with one another our joys, our sorrows, the events that mark the steps on our journey. The threads of sorrow and those of joy are intertwined in the fabric of our lives, present for all, remembered by all. We share those threads and then they are woven together with those of others in our community. Our joys are shared and magnified, and we are comforted in our sorrows. I invite you to type into the chat or speak into our shared space your name or the name of another you wish to be remembered in sorrow.
The family of Brian Kennecke.
The family of Brian
Kennecke.
Mark and Kathy.
Mark and Kathy
Jala.
Gala.
Jala. The family of Jan Hostetler.
The family of Jim Hostetler.
Jan.
Jan. Thank you.
Becca?
Becca. Orly. Mary asked us to remember Jan Hostetler, who died. Denise, Linda. I invite you to type into the chat or speak into our shared space your name or the name of another you wish to be remembered in joy.
Haley and Mark celebrating their anniversary.
Ailey and Mark celebrating their anniversary. I thought there was a number in there.
It's 11.
11.
Kent Nelson for getting inducted into Nebraska State Chess Hall of Fame.
Ted Nelson
Yeah, he's not from our
for
church.
being inducted
Yes,
into the Nebraska Hall
Chess,
of Fame,
State Chess Hall of Fame on Friday, yeah.
along with Malcolm X, I think.
What?
Not for chess, but for the state of Nebraska.
No, he's not the state of Nebraska, the Chess Hall of Fame.
That chess, I get it, Hall of Fame. Sorry.
Okay, yeah.
That's even harder from my perspective.
Nebraska for having the, I don't know what, wisdom to induct Malcolm X into the Hall of Fame.
Nebraska for having
Finally
the wisdom to
inducted.
induct
Yeah,
Malcolm X
finally.
into our Hall of Fame. I think his name was Richard Little. He was born in Omaha.
The beginning of Pride Month.
The beginning of Pride Month.
And I guess guilty?
Magic number 34.
But who's counting?
3 more to go.
We know too that there are some joys and some sorrows that are yet unspoken but still deeply felt. Let us hold a moment of silence for everything unspoken. Thank you for your presence. Please remain seated and join with me in singing number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, in the Teal hymnal.
I have a long-standing argument with one of my colleagues about that song. She doesn't like it because she would say every place is holy. And so when we sing it, we say our heart is in a holy place that is constraining the sense of the holy. But here's what I know. There is, for me, holiness in a group of people gathered together on Sunday morning, or a group of church folks gathered together for a potluck on Thursday night. There is something that happens when we gather together. So every week, as part of our gathering together, we take up a collection to support the work of this church, because we know that those gatherings happen because we all make them happen. That's how it works. But as we take up the offering this week, we're going to play a slideshow that member Harry Hafer put together, looking back over the course of the year. Now, the slideshow itself was a little bit long to fit into one chunk in the service, so we'll have the first 5 or 6 minutes of it now, the last 3.5 minutes of it at the end of the service, and then we'll play the whole thing on a loop between the service and the congregational meeting. The offering will now be gratefully received.
The reading today is by Anne Lamott from the Wow chapter of her book. How fitting. Help, thanks, wow, the three essential prayers. The words wow and ah are the same length and width. All W's and short vowels, they could dance together. Even when, maybe especially when, we don't cooperate, this energy, the breath, the glory, the goodness of God is given. Glorious, amazing things come into our lives when we are paying attention. Mangoes, grandnieces, Bach, pawns. This happens more often when we have little expectation as possible. If you say, well, that's pretty much what I thought I'd see, you're in trouble. At that point, you have to ask yourself, why are you even here? And if I were you, I would pray, help. For more about help, see an earlier chapter. Astonishing material and revelation appear in our lives all the time. Let it be. Unto us so much is given. We just have to be open for business. Please join me in hymn 360, Here We Have Gathered.
There's a truism that I first heard in the months before moving to Lincoln, Nebraska to start at the Unitarian Church here. Ministers and churches, it goes, constantly overestimate what they can do in a year. And both ministers and churches constantly underestimate what they can do in a decade. Today is the last congregational meeting at the Unitarian Church of Lincoln that I will participate in. I have 3 sermons left before my last day on June 30th, and I am certainly overestimating what I can get done in that amount of time. But the plan for today and the next month is to talk about what we have done together over the last 7 years. That's today. On June 16th, we'll talk about hopes for the future and what we've left undone in this shared ministry. And on June 30th, there will be a chance to say thank you and to release each other from the covenant that we have as minister and congregation. So, for today, what have we done together? How do you measure years of shared ministry? There are numbers, right? As of this morning, we've welcomed 83 new members into this congregation in my time here. I've presided at 52 memorial services, 13 weddings, and 2 baby dedications. 7 years is 316 Sunday morning sermons. About 100 Zoom Vespers services during the pandemic, and 475 video updates. To go back a bit, those 316 sermons taken together are somewhere in the neighborhood of 630,000 words that you have heard me speak from this pulpit. As a point of context, War and Peace by Tolstoy is 580,000 words. More numbers: 14 congregational meetings, 28 town halls, 7 budget cycles, 2 major bylaws revisions, a pandemic, a doctorate, a child who was on the way when we moved here and is now going into 2nd grade, with any number of surrogate aunts, uncles, grandparents, and relations. 7 legislative sessions at the unicameral, more than a few debates at the city and county level. School Board 2, all of the places Unitarian Universalists in Nebraska show up to claim our values. Literally uncountable. I started and then realized that this was not a thing that was going to happen. Literally uncountable numbers of one-on-one conversations. I can tell you that I was making notes as I'm closing out, 70 members or pledge units that are in active pastoral care right now. How do you measure 7 years of shared ministry? Lots and lots of numbers to choose from, but it's always more than numbers. The numbers only paint a piece of a story. What did we do together in all of those numbers? Last week, I did my exit interview with the Unitarian Universalist Association, and one of the questions that they ask is, what went well? That's the first question they ask. They lead with that. What went well in this shared ministry? And in thinking about how I was going to answer that question, I went back to what this congregation said in 2017 about who you hope to be, about the work you hoped a new minister would work on with you. So in the search website back then, in 2017, you listed your brand new mission and vision statements, and then right below that, front and center, one of the first things that you saw about the Unitarian Church of Lincoln was this paragraph. Our church has a reputation in Lincoln for hosting progressive events and for speaking out against injustice, but only among those people who are paying attention. The general population probably assumes we are just like every other church in town. Therefore, we are determined to become more of a presence in our community. We want to be a church that truly lives its mission and shows up when there is hard work to be done in the name of Unitarian Universalist values. We are, of course, currently involved in outreach activities, but want to enhance and expand those offerings and our members' participation in them. That's what you said. In 2016, the last time this congregation was in an interim period, Reverend Gretchen Woods led you through a process to figure out what this congregation's big idea was going to be for the next 3 to 5 years. And from what I understand, what I've put together afterwards, you debated different issues, gun control, healthcare, education, back and forth, before finally settling on the idea of partnership itself as the big idea. I will fully admit, years later now, that I was skeptical of the big idea of partnership. Partnership to do what? I kept asking for dozens of times the first year I was here. It felt like saying, well, we couldn't make a decision on which issue to focus on, so in true and storied UU fashion, we've come up with a way to focus on all of them at once, and in doing so, maybe not change much. It turns out I was dramatically wrong about that. Because looking back at the end of this 7-year period, partnership turns out to be pretty much the organizing principle of this whole shared ministry. If we want UCL to be both a cradle for our dreams and workshop for our common endeavor, that's the piece that you would have read with the new members this morning, but we didn't get you the script. If that's who we are, and we want Lincoln to be a beacon in the broader Lincoln community, we need partners. And we've done that work, showing up when there is hard work to be done in the name of Unitarian Universalist values. You know about justice in action. I've preached about that plenty. But this point isn't just about justice in action. It's also about lay-led efforts to build up our relationship with the Lincoln Indian Center and hold summer programming on re-indigenizing our community. It's about our relationships with the NAACP out in Nebraska, Planned Parenthood, forming coalitions for justice in a state where we don't always see our values reflected in the halls of power. It's about our relationships with other Unitarian Universalist congregations in Nebraska, making sure that we all know, and they know, that we are not alone in this sometimes quirky faith. It's about how we've used our building. Hosting a Montessori school 5 days a week for 7 years, providing the launching pad for them to take off and outgrow our space as they become the first middle school Montessori in Lincoln. It's about becoming the institutional home for the Lincoln Chamber Players, bringing their music and their audience into our space for concerts. Becoming the institutional home for the Lincoln Music Teachers Association, even though, and it does, stretch our storage space to accommodate it. The general population probably assumes we are just like every other church in town. Therefore, we are determined to become more of a presence in our community. Friends, I don't think you get to claim to be a hidden gem at this point. I hate to say it, this is a church with a reputation in Lincoln. And that reputation is based on relationships, partnerships that you have cultivated over years now. If we underestimate what we can get done every year, this is the change that I see clearly in retrospect. Partnership was the right big idea for this congregation, and as an organizing principle that has guided the work we've done, I've done, it has come together in ways that I would not have predicted when I started. Part of partnership has been being willing to be open to different ways of being religious, to being in conversation, in dialogue with the broader community, people of faith, but not necessarily this faith. In the last month, I've come across 3 different installation services. At Charles Stevens's 1961 installation, Corin Arison preached a sermon called Unitarian Humanism. At Fritz Hudson's installation in 1999, Christine Robinson preached on humanism for a postmodern age. And at my installation in 2018, Natalie Fenimore preached on location, location, location. This ministry has not been grounded in shared theology primarily, but in place, in relationship. These questions, whose are we? Who shares this space with us? How are we related? Those have been the driving conversations, more than what shall humanism be in the 2020s, as much as that might have been a letdown for some of our members. Two anecdotes to support this idea that shared ministry has been about the surrounding community. These are two anecdotes from the last week of my life. First, at a playground, when another parent, as we were watching our kids play, leaned over and said, "Hey, this is going to sound weird, but have I seen you investments before?" And then, when we were getting work done on our HVAC system at home, the AC repairman said, "Wait, you work for the Unitarian Church? Didn't they just host a big heat pump information event with the city?" Relatedly, after our AC unit didn't survive the winter, we've just replaced it with an air source heat pump. The new heat pump at 702 Sumner is mostly a legacy for the next people that will live in our home. I'm filling up moving boxes in my free time these days, thinking about legacy and what comes next. But the shared work of partnership does not need to stop. It should not. Because the membership of the Unitarian Church of Lincoln have been active participants in everything that I've talked about this morning. In any number of them, say, the heat pump event or the Indigenous work coming up in July, it has been much more led by lay volunteers than me or other staff. And that will keep going. And there is a sense, for me at least, of completion in this. We've done the thing. We are determined to become more of a presence in our community. You have pushed me to do that. I have, in turn, pushed the congregation to do that. And I think we have done it together, living into this dream, vision, big idea. So 2 questions for our newest members who we recognized this morning. Although, like always, these are questions for new members, but they are questions for every member of this congregation as well. Challenges, even. First, how will you show up when there is hard work to be done in the name of Unitarian Universalist values? How will you keep this congregation from going back to compete for the best kept secret in Lincoln title? How will you join in this work and keep it going? But then the second question, just as important, what will you dream up next? Partnership was intended to be a 3 to 5 year organizing principle. Now, we did have an unprecedented global pandemic in there, defined by how it fractured how we relate to each other and how we can see new things in our community, so I'm fine with using it as a 7-year organizing principle instead. But congregations diminish when they are stagnant, when they stop moving, when they say, this thing that we have done is it. We figured it out. We don't need new big ideas anymore. That's not this congregation. So the question to consider over the next couple months, couple years, is what's the next big idea? How do we build on these relationships that we've formed? The author and theologian Anne Lamott writes that there are 3 basic prayers: help, thanks, and wow. Every prayer, from constructed pastoral collects on Sunday morning to muttered exclamations on the freeway, all of them are variants of those 3. That has also been the organizing principle for these last 3 sermons for me. We're going a little out of order. We started with wow. Wow is the shortest and in some ways most honest prayer. It's about being present, seeing or feeling something that takes our breath away, and then acknowledging it. Looking back at 7 years of shared ministry in Lincoln is a wow moment for me. In a few minutes, we'll have a congregational meeting. We'll go through the logistics and minutiae of congregational life one more time. But there's also, for me, a worshipful aspect of it. That is, before we get to what comes next, we pause, look back over the landscape that we have traveled together, and whispered, "Oh, my God, wow." And then we say amen. Our closing hymn is in the Teal Hymnal, number 1064, Blue Boat Home.
Standing on these mountains and plains.
So as we draw this service to a close, go in peace, go in kindness, go in faith. But I think this is the last time I'm going to say this. Don't go far. Because there is a congregational meeting right back in this room in about half an hour. We'll close out by playing the latter part of the slideshow. If you want to stay and watch that, you are welcome to. We'll also have the whole thing going on a loop in between this service and the congregational meeting. For now, go in peace and amen.